can do this one. Otherwise, it's not there, we don't stare at it, you can't get it until later, that's
So
not.
good, we made it and haven't made this one. Oh,
Let's do this. Call meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. I'll also read the district mission statement. In partnership with the communities, the mission of the Dilworth Woodland Felton School District is to educate individuals in an environment of trust and respect so they become self-directed, responsible, lifelong learners. Roll call. I think we have the whole board here tonight. Shannon is here, and Brittany Jones is also here. All right. We have a motion to approve. We don't have any changes to the agenda.
Nope, the changes were made earlier.
The only change to the agenda that I would have, not a big deal, but the donations, that'll be a resolution. So if I say that wrong, please remind me that that'll be a resolution.
Yeah, and the only other thing I guess, I'm sorry, under my report is I just want to add Veterans Day program from yesterday on there. I didn't have it on that list, I guess, so it's just during my report.
Very good. With those small changes, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
so, we'll go ahead.
Motion by Brittany, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lindsay. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. On to number 5, public comments and rebel recognition. I don't think we have any public comments, but rebel recognition.
I was going to recognize Brittany for putting on that wonderful program yesterday. I thought it was fantastic. Both speakers did a fabulous job. The kids were adorable, of course. The fourth graders that were speaking did a fantastic job.
It's always fun to watch whatever grade go up to a podium and the podium's just a little tall, you know, so you're going, oh, but it's just, you can hear this voice, and it's like, where I was sitting, I was not in a good spot, but you know, you can see the top of the head, which is cute, and others were fine, but I agree, it's just fun to watch that, right? And then when they sang, it almost goes in stereo, and I said, oh, they were trying to, it was in a round. Because, you know, parts of the song go really quick, and so the younger kids are getting behind, right? And the older kids are right on time, and I thought it was awesome. It's why you go to those programs, so, yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to our football team and our volleyball team and Owen Winter. He
Yes.
got, was 9th in state, am I
Yes,
saying that?
he did. Nope, he got it, yeah.
And then,
His time was better than last year, so
that's awesome.
Yep.
And I just want to congratulate our neighbors next door for winning the Class AA state volleyball championship. I think it's amazing that an HOL team won. So kudos to them, and our girls played a heck of a game against them. So it's nothing to be sad about when you say we lost to the state champions. So
Yeah, great. Very good.
And now winter season, here we go. It's already getting started.
they're all walking out.
Yeah.
People online can't watch them, but they're all filing out.
And I'll just
No rest
give
for the wicked.
No, that's for sure.
shout out to all those that were elected to the school board, and those that ran too. So congratulations to all those folks. That was, I know not a conference, but the presentation with all the potential board members. I know people said, it doesn't matter, we're going to get 4 good board members, so that's wonderful. We had such good candidates, so
Yes,
congratulations.
Yeah, and congratulations to Brittany and Nicole, obviously you're here, so congrats.
All right, any other rebel recognition? All right, we'll go on to number 6, 6.1, curriculum report. Brittany.
All right, hello everyone. So I gave you a packet. So I'll just go through a variety of things. First is curriculum review cycle. So that is the first page. So we have a curriculum review cycle. This year we are reviewing science. So you will see that year 0, that's when we start our committee work. So we are going to be having presentations, meeting with publishers. We might be piloting a science curriculum in the springtime. You can see last year Elementary, we were supposed to look at science, but we were inundated with reading curriculum, so we didn't quite get to that. We will eventually, this is a working document, so nothing is set in stone. Middle school, high school, we got new reading curriculum. And then this year, science, like I said. On the first page, you will see elementary, new reading and math intervention curriculum. Middle school, 5th grade math intervention curriculum, and then reading, like I just mentioned, and then high school, daily reading curriculum. So that is what we have recently purchased. It's going very well. New assessment platform, so we have FastBridge that we are using this year to assess. So in the past, we have used STAR. So we have a fall, winter, and spring. We do that fall, winter, and spring. So students are assessed 3 times a year, and this is kindergarten through 12th grade. So we had a big screening period in the elementary right at the start, so we assessed every single student. They also, they were pulled by your interventionist to do more sub-tests, and that, we'll get into the win time soon, but that helps us to know where students will be in their win time. So if we go down to a partnership with Lake Agassiz, they are helping us with the READ Act. So all teachers need to be trained in evidence-based reading programs. So that's either letters or OLA training. So right now we have 7 early childhood teachers. They will be starting training in November. And then we have 41 kindergarten through 4th grade teachers that started last year or they started this year. So that is the 3rd page. You can see who has gone through it for the first year. The ones in red are the ones that just started this year. So Wayne and I have gone through this with them as well. We're in our 2nd year, a lot of great information. And it's really nice to see how the letters training ties in with our reading curriculum. So what we are learning every month during these Google Meets, we go into the classroom and it's like they're reinforcing what we're learning in letters. So that's really nice to see. Let's see, OLA training, so that is for our secondary teachers. So that is, it's a little bit shorter than letters training, but it pertains more to that secondary reading stuff. Let's see, elementary, what I need time. So if you go to the next page, that is a copy of our master schedule. So I thought it would be nice for you guys to see this so I can explain it a little better. So you can see those green reading win time blocks. So what we're doing with that is it's classroom teachers, special ed teachers, interventionists, our ELL teacher, our reading core teachers. It's an all hands on deck approach where we are working with more small groups to target kids on what they specifically need. So if there's a kindergartner that needs more help with letter sounds, for example, I'm just gonna say Kip Bossler, he is pulling 4 students and they're working with letter sounds. There's a 4th grade group that needs more work on like CVC words, for example. They're pulling a group to work specifically on that skill. Students are at a wide variety of places, so we just wanna make sure we're targeting what they exactly need. So you can see 8:40 to 9:05 in kindergarten. That is when kindergarten is focusing on what they need. 1st grade, 9:25 to 9:55, that's their time. So interventionists have that time dedicated for those kids. Same with special ed.
Will this get reassessed then as each FastBridge assessment happens in those 3 segments?
Yes, good question. With this, we have WIN team meetings every month. So like today, we had one for our kindergarten 1st and 2nd grade teams. So it's that grade level. It's myself, it's our coordinator from Lake Agassiz, her name's Abby, and then Trina and Lori, who are our non-retired interventionists. They're kind of leading this. So we come together and we just talk about what's working, what's not working. We were on a 2-week rotation where kids were being assessed. They'd rotate to a different interventionist. Now we're changing to a 4-week rotation. So students are with that teacher for longer periods of time and they can practice more. So yes, it is reassessed on a monthly basis. And not necessarily with the screener, but with other sub-tests that we use. It's called the LAPS and the LAPA.
Some kids are only pulled if they need, like
Yes.
qualify for the help.
Right.
Okay.
But then if students are exceeding, going above and beyond, then that classroom teacher is working on those extension activities for them.
So,
Are they moving within their subgroups to like third grade, do they move to, like, does Shy focus on one thing and somebody else focus on something else, or are they all, if they're not getting pulled by an interventionist, they stay with their classroom teacher?
Yes, there's a variety of things we're doing there. So some grade levels, like fourth grade, they're trying the model of switching. So like Miss Chambly might be working on like the higher group, where Miss Fieldy might be working like middle of the road kids. So those older kids might be switching classrooms, where first graders, they're staying within the classroom, but they might have those two groups split up. So Mrs. Christopherson's working with this skill with one group and this skill with another group, and then when she flips, they're doing more independent work, so that she can be with a different group.
Gotcha.
I think the other thing is, so I attended some meetings with them now recently too, just to hear it all and whatever, right? And that is, nobody's necessarily being pulled, they're going to their ability level, which has been shown on the testing and the screenings and all that, right? And they're going to that teacher for that skill set. So that's where they mix with other, if I'm in Mrs. Jonk's room or Mrs. Keel's room, I might see Mrs. Reno for my reading win time because that's the group I'm in. You know what I mean? And so everybody in the first grade who's at my level, we might be with Mrs. Reno then, right? And Mrs. Keel is going to see kids that are in this, you know what I mean? So we're meeting them where they're at and teaching those skills to those kids during that win time.
But if some kids aren't moving, like, for example, you just said first grade, you're just splitting the room in half, then they wouldn't be seeing a different teacher.
Right, that their classroom teachers getting them what they need.
Right.
Yep.
It can be that. So I'm just saying, but if Brittany's the high flyer, Mrs. Reno's doing that, you would move to that class or to Mrs. Reno's class for
If
that
that
support.
grade is doing that.
Yes.
So not all grades are moving.
So it looks different with each grade level,
Yeah.
just because
That's-
of.
Okay, I see what you're saying, Brittany.
Yeah.
Just because like first grade, for example, we want to make the most out of our 25 minutes. So if they're transitioning in the first 5 minutes of each block, then we're losing 10 minutes there. You know what I mean? So the logistical piece has been challenging, but we're working through it. So.
I think that's the constant conversation is,
Yeah.
are we meeting them where they're at? Yes. How are we meeting them where they're at? In first grade or second grade? And there's different opinions on how to best meet that. And it's been fun to listen to professional teachers talking about how they want to dial it in and how they're trying to make it better, how to meet the kids' needs. It's just, as a superintendent, it's been really refreshing, maybe is the word, to listen to teachers just really honing in on what's best for this group or that group, and do you think it would be better if we did this, and here's the test scores, and they have the spreadsheets and the scores, and it's on purpose, and it feels good that we're meeting kids where they're at specifically, which has been missed, I think, in the past.
I'm glad we're doing something like this, because I think that's what we've been missing for a long time, is like targeting all different groups, not just like the little group with the middle group and giving the higher group what we need to. I think sometimes it gets tricky with people thinking it's an intervention, but I feel like if we're meeting kids where they are, that's just best practice rather than an intervention.
Well said.
So I
agree.
think that's a totally different thing, so I think maybe people get a misconception, like, oh, kids are getting interventions, so they're just getting best practice, really. Like fine tuning,
Meeting them at their level.
meeting them
yeah.
at their level.
Yep, agreed, totally.
And then in the middle school, we have Barbara Roloffs and Steph Walter. So we're not at the same place as where the elementary's at, but we're getting there. We want to have a solid foundation at the elementary first, and then we'll continue growing. Any questions with any of that so far?
So no more STAR testing?
No, that's FastBridge now. It looks pretty much the same. FastBridge just is more closely related to the MCAs, and it drills down on the skills better. So we can figure out what they need more so than STAR.
It's more specific.
Yes.
Yeah. I just- yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about is our data. So if you look at the last 2 pages, the very last page, that's our current data. And then the second to last page, just the white boxes, that is last year's data. So I won't go through all the numbers in detail, detail, but our math scores are significantly better than our reading scores. When you look at the FastBridge testing, the very last page, the categories are a little different, so conceded pass and low risk, if we group those together, that's where they should be at. Some risk and high risk, that's what we need to be concerned about. And this was our first time with FastBridge, so there were we're learning. So I don't feel like this accurately represents where our students are at, exactly. So hopefully our winter scores better reflect that. But your first page, I put together a summary of our, kind of what it looks like grade to grade. So you can see our reading scores, the elementary, they increase significantly. Once you get to secondary, you don't see as much of the increases. And I talked at DLT about this a little bit, where kids, we're drilling down on more of the skills at the elementary level, where at the high school level, it's a deeper level of understanding, so you won't see that growth as much. And there's lots of extracurriculars they're in, they're older, they have other things that are more important to them, so we're trying to keep them motivated with these tests. On the back side of that first page, you can see the math scores. Again, in the elementary, you see lots of, across the board, you see lots of increases or stayed the same. 11th grade, the data wasn't as accurate. So I don't want to report on that just because some of our kids did not take the test. So when you look at the summary, you can see the math scores. The reason behind those really good scores are our curriculum. It's been established. The teachers, they've had the training to teach the curriculum. So our math scores are in the 70, 80th percentile, whereas our reading curriculum, we're only in the first and second year with this, so hoping that they keep improving. So I think that's a good reason behind the data that you're seeing today. And then, like I said, FastBridge, it's a Minnesota approved screener, part of the READ Act, so that's why we had to go with FastBridge. And like Shannon said, it's just a little more specific and it ties more closely to the MCAs. So.
In a previous district, we switched, this was, I've been here 4 years, so about 6 years ago, we switched to FastBridge. And a significant difference between STAR and the relation to MCAs, I should say, FastBridge tied to it, so we could have a correlation and have some anticipation of, hey, Shannon scored here on FastBridge in the fall and the winter. He's most likely going to score somewhere there in the MCA, so it was a better measure. The STAR, it just seems like it's so unrelated that it's like, okay, is the STAR test where our kids are at? Or is it the MCA scores where our kids are at? And it was a disconnect, where this is more tied together. So that for sure, in a previous district I was at, we saw some significant improvement there. And so then you can address it better, right? Yeah. So that for sure was the case. And I will reiterate too, just because I was a curriculum director in another district previously, that it does take 3 to 4 years to see results, because the first year the teacher's trying to figure out what to do. The second year they're getting a little bit better, and third year is finally with some fidelity, right? And so you will see that, and our math scores have really shown that. We're really hopeful that our reading scores will show the same.
Yeah, it's really encouraging on the math side, just because, remember approving the math curriculum, I've been thinking just hoping that it works out well. It's satisfying that it's been a good success.
Are the interventionists still pulling kids then outside of truly pulling, not when we rearrange the kids who still qualify for?
Like pulling them out of the classroom?
Small group other than the win time?
Yes,
Okay.
they're pulling them all day long.
Okay.
So all of those green boxes, that's when they are pulling them.
So they have the groups kind of, Brittany, like they would probably typically have.
Yeah, so you see a gap between kindergarten and first, they're still filling it. But yeah, these are the dedicated win times. And then their preps in there, obviously.
And how many do we have?
How many interventionists?
Yeah.
So we have 5 interventionists, and then a para-interventionist.
And
So she-
elementary?
Yeah, she was a teacher before, she just doesn't have a.
So 6-ish.
Yep.
And then what do we have in the middle school?
2. We have reading core this year, so that's free service, so we have 2 tutors.
The elementary.
Yep. And our EL teachers and that's another one. Oh, and then our social workers, they're part of full time. So, kids did the Sabers this year, so it's a social emotional screener. So if we see flags on that, they could be pulled during wind time for social emotional stuff, because we know when a kid is not emotionally regulated, they can't learn. So that needs to be addressed first. We make sure they're in a group with tutors or social workers.
So are we considering at all adding interventionists to the middle school if they're, I know you just said get it established in the elementary, but it looks like middle school is where we struggle the most looking at the data.
It is. Would we like more people there? Yeah. Here's what I don't want to do though. I don't want to send whatever, 2, 3, 4 of them to the middle school. And now we've created the same problem we already have. By the time they get there again, they're still not ready. So we're trying to address the elementary kids, so when they get to 5th and 6th grade and beyond, that those interventions have already happened, then the 2 people that are there can maintain, because there's still gonna be shortfalls, we know that. So,
I'm not
yes,
saying Big Bar would steal from the elementary, I'm
Yep,
just thinking
I
like
know.
additionally.
Yep, ideally, we could have 2 or 3 more right now, but we're making a significant, financial investment into our interventionists right now, which is great, right? It's great. We're talking close to $500,000.
But I think even we need to look at like the structure of the middle school and the schedule, like how can we even align the special ed teachers, the middle school special ed teacher schedule to align with like a WIN schedule? I know it's different because they go from class to class, so.
Well, I think the other problem is all the grades are different, like 5th is
Well,
different from
let's say
6th, and 6th is
yeah.
different from 7th and 8th.
5th and 6th grade largely stay with their own teacher. At least in our 5th grade, they have, like, Kaylee only switches for social studies.
Yeah.
She only switches once.
So the models are different,
Yeah.
right?
It makes it harder, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
it's,
that's our biggest challenge, is just the scheduling. That's our biggest issue right now.
I hope it's something we can problem solve because the gap only gets bigger when they get older and if I mean, you can see it. If it doesn't get addressed now, it's not going to by the time they leave middle school, which we know in high school is very different, so.
yeah, and that's why the early intervention works, right?
Yes.
That's our plan. Yep.
Thanks, Brian.
Any other questions for Bridget? All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent report. Okay, we'll go on to 6.2, board committee reports, and this is the personnel committee, which met earlier today. We're just looking at some new potential positions. And some of it is transition. First one is an ED/transportation director. This is to do sort of take over for Eileen when she goes and transfer the ED position. The next is lead secretary. We had 3 to 4 lead secretaries. Special ed secretary. This is a new position. I'm actually sort of filling that. So we're moving some folks around to help out with some of the billing for that. And then the last one is the community ed secretary to help with that group. And so we're looking at posting those positions. We're going to have to do some work with the MSEA on the secretary positions. Get a memorandum of understanding probably for those. But yeah, so that's sort of what we're looking at. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or concerns about that. But from a dollar standpoint, I would say because we're moving things around, it's not going to be a significant cost to the district to do this. One of the things with the community ed secretary, of course, we can take that from Fund 4, which has surplus balance, and it's always good to remember with Fund 4, and Shannon may get to this, but that is one of the funds where the state sees you get too much money in there, you can just come and take it. So anyway, so that's what we have on the personnel.
We do have negotiations coming up too.
Yes, we always have negotiations coming up. We do
We're running
fiscal year
one.
25
25, we have 3.
certified, confidential, and then
Transportation.
transportation.
Yeah, our bus contractors, yeah. So,
Sorry,
No, that's totally okay. Sarah Iwin does some of the community ed secretary functions.
yep,
So then is her position changing?
it's gonna shift to this, so we don't know what's gonna happen with this AD transportation position. Is it somebody we do hire that starts in February or March? I don't know. We don't know when that person will start, if we plan it. Do we have to wait till later? I don't know. So Sarah will support that new person in that role. So it'll be a little transportation and AD. And then community ed will be handled by this new person working with Tracy. So her job is gonna be a little shift, no question about it.
And she also support the offices at the high school and middle school level.
Yeah.
Which she did anyways. trying
She
to-
was already doing some
she
of
was
that,
already
already
trying to
covering
do some-
lunches and, yeah.
Yeah, so she'll just be running around less, more balanced and focused.
We will still have the transportation coordinator,
We will. So that
that
person,
doesn't change.
no,
Okay.
so Tony currently has that, and then he'll move into Eileen's office so he can manage the mornings. Because this AD transportation person is gonna have sometimes where they are at a game till 10 o'clock at night. This happens, so Tony can cover morning routes and help with bus crunch and make sure everybody gets on the right bus and, you know, whatever. And then that transportation director will come in and work with Tony, and maybe, you know, they'll have to, because Tony may still have to drive then, it's suburban, so, but he can get it all going, and then he can go, and that transportation driver can come in then. Their hours will be a little bit flexible, just because of this, obviously working till 10 o'clock at night, or whatever the night is, but, yep, working with Tony.
Full-time currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yes.
It is fairly common to have your AD transportation director in one bundle.
It was a
Kind of
previous
some-
job that I had too at another district.
It's kind of developed some efficiencies, as you can imagine, transportation, the athletic director, or the activities director. I'm old.
So should it be separated athletic director and transportation versus combined?
Gonna be one person, yeah. And it's kind of to what David talked about, the efficiencies there.
Not be too much workload on one aspect or the other. I mean, there's,
Nope, so Holly does this right now. Holly's person does it both. I did it with a previous district. It works nice in the fact that when you're out scheduling games with other ADs, whether it's middle school, high school, you already know days you can't do it because you don't have enough bus drivers. So you're just efficient at those meetings. At least for me, it made a huge difference. Instead of coming back and then saying, hey, Micah, I need buses for these routes. You're going, whoa, we can't go to those games. We don't have buses, you know. And so it just really, talking with Phil, Katie talking to Holly too, it's worked well for them. And I know my previous experience, it just seemed to be more efficient, I guess. So, yeah.
And I think just to mention, I mean, this has been a conversation that Shannon's brought up for the last 2 years, talking about what is he gonna do when Eileen retires? What is this position gonna look like? So, I wanna support him in the decision when he thinks that's needed at the school. And I think it's a very good, kind of like you said, mixed together.
Yeah, it's a special person, no doubt, right?
Sure. So hopefully we get some good applicants. So whoever's watching, watch our website.
All right. Any other questions?
We have
Oh, community, yeah, so,
Sorry.
6.2B.
Sorry, we should have.
Sorry,
about
we
that.
overlooked that.
Oh, yeah.
We met with the Community Ed Advisory Council this week, and it was a good meeting. Tracy had a whole agenda. I think we spent a lot of time talking about preschool, the numbers, between the tots and the school readiness and how much staff we have, and if we need to make changes to the program or not, some challenges that they're facing at the moment. Looking ahead at events coming up like the Daddy-Daughter Ball, some Christmas type craft activities that Tracy's putting on, and they already filled like instantly, so you have like 4 different sessions had filled up right away, so that's awesome, giving kids some positive things to do. And
Winter Blast tournament, there's
basketball tournaments.
basketball tournament switching up having the younger kids coming on Friday night, so maybe there isn't quite so much chaos on Saturday. But the number of teams coming was just astronomical.
Over 100. So that's always a handful, but it's always done nicely, so. And then looking ahead, I think our next meeting, she's bringing the summer rec brochure, so that'll be out. So before you know it, it hasn't even snowed yet, so.
Summer brews.
I know, hey, I need some snow here. So I think our next meeting's not till February, so getting that stuff out and getting, those registrations for Rebel Kids Care and things like that out in advance, so people have a heads up.
And our district did get little flyers out, kind of giving people the heads up that those registrations are coming for next fall, because before we know it, those dates will be here and they'll be ready. So those came out, yesterday I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got one today, community, ed. It was a nice flyer in the mail. So it obviously hit our whole mailing district, must have.
Must have been.
That's awesome.
Sure.
And that's a great way to promote, you know, people, our school, thinking parents, new parents, get them in the district.
Yeah, the craft fair was the week before,
Oh, yeah.
right? That was good.
The craft fair, it was a good turnout, I think they had like 4 no-shows, and then she had sent out like a feedback form that hadn't been, not everyone had turned in yet, so she was just waiting on the feedback, but they thought it went well. Unfortunately, it was also planned at the same time as like a big craft show in Fargo, so
Sure.
a little maybe discrepancies between some of the booths, but for planning ahead, she said, just look, you know, at better weekends to host it, but it was pretty full. I went and the whole gym was full, and the Rebel Road had a significant amount of people down there, so.
We had basketball in that morning, in Dilworth, so like we played basketball in the gym and then went down, to the craft fair, so.
Perfect.
Good turnout, I think. So just waiting to hear feedback from the vendors.
Any questions for Brittany and Nicole? All right, very good. We'll go on to 6.3 superintendent report.
All right, this last Friday was with the lawyers in St. Paul. A lot of that is just putting the timeline together for our next mediation. So in November, we're putting some things together. We should be meeting in December with our architect, and then January with our construction management group. So just kind of getting things organized. It's getting for the second round of mediation. It just takes a little time, but we're moving forward. So that's why it was Friday. It was productive. We felt good about the direction we're moving, but I wish it was sooner and quicker and all that. But anyway, it was good. Special ed meeting recap. I just have that on there because we met with principals and Lake Agassiz and just going through, you know, we're learning every day, right? Our staff is learning like, okay, they don't do it exactly how we did it. Okay, we're getting better at it, and now, okay, I get it. And it was just, well, it's new. So we're going through those challenges and adjustments, but overall, I feel like we're getting better. One thing that we discussed is trainings for our special ed department. And so Sarah, our coordinator, is going to do some things with that moving forward. We have those days after school in January, March, end of April. And so they're going to be designated for special ed. They're going to have those times to meet with her, Lake Agassiz and Sarah, to really work on things to slowly throughout the year and have supports and put things in place. What are their highest needs? And so it's just nice to hear that. And so Sarah was really willing and meets with our staff already on a regular basis. So yeah, just working through the challenges and the new look, I guess. So it's good. MSBA conference. So Brooke has asked today, you have to tell her yes or no. I'm just kidding. The two new board members, they have said they were going to be able to go, so that was nice to hear. I think some of you have said yes. We just want to make sure we have accommodations set. And so just make sure we talk about that, or if you can visit with Brooke afterwards. If you know I can't go, that's fine. We just want to make sure we, okay? MREA conference, that is Sunday night. I'll be going to Brainerd. I'll stay with one of my 3 lovely children that live out there. And then I'll go over to the conference. So it's Sunday night through Tuesday morning, so I'll be back sometime Tuesday after. But MREA conference does a really nice job. And it's an an opportunity for me to meet with some of them as far as lobbying ideas, and then also just for the school and planning. So they do a nice job. November 25th, board meeting. This will be in the media center. This is also the night that we will have our audit presentation by Bailey. So they will present virtually. So we will have a TV set up in the media center for them to do their presentation. And that one, no, Truth and Taxation is December. Did I say Truth and Taxation?
No, I said
Okay,
that.
okay.
So is that at regular time, 6 o'clock, or is that at 5?
The 25th is regular, isn't it? Or is it?
5.
It is 5, okay.
So we have a music.
On the 25th and the 16th then?
25th, it starts at 6,
Yeah.
so the board meeting's at 5.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and then the 16th is the same.
16th is the same board meeting, and then we have to have Truth and Taxation at 6, but there's also a concert that night too.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, they both have the same thing.
They're just different groups.
Yes.
So you might
Different
get
concert
different
groups.
people
Yes,
that's
I'm with you.
on the different nights.
Okay.
Our first band concert. It's gonna
There
be
you go.
exciting. On the 5th grade on the 25th.
All right.
Like the very first band concert.
It'll be
Sure to
fantastic.
entertain.
It will be perfect. Okay, so that's the November 25th. No, December 16th then is our Truth and Taxation Board meeting. That is also at that same schedule we just talked about, okay? And a
That
concert.
will be in the media center.
That
as
is
well.
also in the media center, yes. Yep. Okay. Fundraising review. Oh, from our last board meeting, we talked about, hey, we had a couple things that was like, what the heck, right? We had that discussion. So that's policy 713. We are going to put that policy 13 up for review. And the reason is, so I've already made a change to this in that the administrative meeting, so that's all of our directors and all of our principals, I meet with them once a month. We will schedule that the fundraising has to be at that meeting, so we peruse it, go through it, so the superintendent knows exactly what's going on with the fundraising. And then the next board meeting is when it'll be addressed, okay, to be approved. The reason we need to visit with policy 713 is we're talking about the months that the board is approving them. They're a little bit wonky, so I want the policy committee to look at it because we think we need to change. The July one is for the fall, and then we want to switch to October for winter and January. And anyway, the policy committee will look at it, and I just think we need to make some adjustments to that. And then when we do so, these administrative meetings, I'll have all my people, or the AD having make sure fundraisers or teachers at a fundraiser, that has to be presented to the admin committee meeting, or our admin meeting, before it can go to the board. So we've already looked at it, we all know what it's talking about, and I can ask questions of the directors or coaches or teachers or principals. So then when it comes to here, we've already kind of went through the process. And don't get stuck like, that was like one, okay? So that's coming up, and we'll have some more discussions, obviously, with the policy committee. Budget update. This is me and my presentation that I didn't do last time, remember that? While I'm walking around and clicking and getting it ready, I do want to say again, that you guys already brought up, kudos to Brittany and the whole elementary staff. The Veterans Day program was just awesome. Speakers, again, thanks to them, Nick and Kristen for speaking. Students that spoke, it's just a great event. We heard a lot of community comments afterwards. Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. It's nice to see that our young kids get to see veterans and learn more about Veterans Day, and that we celebrate it because, yep, it's a big deal, right? And so kudos to them again. I gotta find my deal. There we go. Okay, so this is, oh yeah, and this guy, I gotta slide him. So this is, we talked a little bit with the budget. I presented this to the budget committee. Now it's, I guess maybe a month ago, right? Because it was supposed to show up to everybody last time. And this is just one of the things about our restricted funds or unassigned funds and what they are, what's the difference. And we've talked about this stuff before. So this slideshow is going to talk about a policy. We're going to talk about defining the unassigned and what's that mean for a district. What's our history at DGF, and then define restricted funds. What's restricted fund history for us. MSB resolution that we talked about earlier, we sent off about asking for some freedom, and I'll show that we sent to them. And then potential impact of that legislation, so I'll show you that, and then if there is any questions you can ask. So minimum assigned, we have a policy 714 in our district, it's 10%, but no more than 15%. We're not there. I'm gonna share some good news though, a little bit. We're getting very close, or getting closer to this. So this is our policy right now for unrestricted funds. So what are unassigned fund balances? Minnesota schools are funded and they are available to use for any purpose in the current or future years. So this is stuff we can use for salaries, well, for anything really, right? And so here it is, staff salaries, benefits, transportation, equipment, basically anything. The other thing I did highlight this, athletics, and I put state tournaments in parentheses because it's been a real expense for us. It's been averaging almost $50,000 a year to go to all these state tournaments. And that comes from unassigned. It's great, right? But it's still $50,000. So just like families when they go down and stuff, they pay for a hotel. It costs money. But the image below, so this came from MSBA. Carrie Lee from MSBA put this together. The image below shows what is happening with our state funds. So our unassigned, or they call it discretionary, same concept, have been reduced by 7%, while our restricted or categorical, which is what MSBA calls them, have increased by 5%. What's staggering is, for us at DGF, obviously it's 12% for everybody, but 12% for us is $2.4 million of a budget swing between funds. It's just, I mean, it's when you put the numbers to it, you go, wow. So it's kind of hard to see this, but FY23, this is to this it's 66% of the funds we got from the state in 23 were unassigned. In 25, it's 59%, so that's where the 7% came from, okay? And then over here, we're gonna find 23 is 32% were restricted, and now 37. So they're giving us more money in these restricted areas, but okay, we don't need them there, we need them in the unassigned. So, and every district's different, okay? So you're gonna see, so this is just important for people to see. This is what we get from the state, and this is what they tell us we have to do with, unfortunately, a higher percentage of value, okay? So this is us. This was taken right from the audit, from last year's audit. And this just shows our fund balance and our unassigned and our restricted, this is all together. But, so this one over here, I said 2024, if I should back up, in 2022, remember we didn't do the transfer of that ESSER funds, we got that, you know, and now we've already corrected it a little bit the following year, it went up. And then now the end of this year, our 2024 unassigned fund balance is projected to be 1.2 plus. Actually, I met with Marcus today, it's gonna be 1.4 plus. So we're moving that in a better direction. And 10% is gonna be 1.9 to 2 million-ish. And we're getting closer. We're moving in the right direction. So yeah, that's, you know, you guys yelled at me and I gotta get to it. No, just kidding.
Whatever it takes, right?
What's that?
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes, that's right. Thanks for yelling at me. That's good. So then now we're gonna talk about restricted funds. So restricted funds obviously are restricted. And then these are some categorical type things in restricted funds in Minnesota. Staff development, operating capital, gifted and talented, safe schools, student support, LTFM, special ed, achievement. This is just kind of a quick snapshot, but there are some more. But these are just things, and you have to use the dollars then in these areas, and that's that. Some of these restricted funds you can carry over, some you can't. So there's another game inside that game, but just to let you know, this is back to, I'm using the same graph because it reflected everything before. And our restricted funds were getting out of whack, if you would look at this. Restricted are red, they were getting bigger, 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 and our unassigned was getting smaller, smaller. Now we have a little bit more of a balance, and our restricted at the end of 24 is going to be closer to around $1 million, and our unassigned will be 1.4-ish. So we're finally getting it back to some balance. A lot of that was just Marcus and I working through what was placed where and what could we move and what's allowed and what isn't allowed. So there's a lot of learning going on there too. But just so with how we've spent money, how we're managing it, we're able to get it to a healthier position. So anyway, that's just to give you an idea where we're at with that. So this is the resolution. So there's an underlined piece, and this is something we added here. But when I presented before, it was about the operating capital. and LTFM dollars, could we do some some internal shifting? Those are restricted funds, but by board resolution, can we please just have the freedom to move them? Because every district's different, and we have these needs or those needs, and then if we could shift, it would just really free up dollars to really spend them on things that we need, right? Every house is different, right? Every situation, every school is, and we're independent. Can we be independent, please? So we met with Clay County Superintendents, Brandon Lunick and I. We've been kind of going around visited with Senator Kubek, visited with Senator Johnson, visited with Representative Jim Joy. And Clay, so after further discussion, we're thinking, well, if we can do that internal shift, how about Fund 2 and Fund 4? Fund 2 and Fund 4, you cannot shift funds from Fund 2 or Fund 4 to the unassigned, but the unassigned can bail them out if they ever go in the hole. Previous two districts had to constantly cover up Fund 2 and Fund 4 because they were in the hole all the time. So we're taking unassigned dollars. We said, well, what if those budgets are healthy? Can we push them back? You can't. And this is what we're asking legislators to say. By board resolution, making a local independent decision, can we shift some of that by maintaining minimum fund balances still so we don't zero out an account? So we'll talk, and this is what we visit with them. So this is the DGF example. This is us. Here's our LTFM, here's our operating capital, here's Fund 2 and Fund 4 as our projection for this year, okay? If you look at our LTFM, we get 656 annually, and you're going, wow, that's gonna be great. We could do a lot of work with that. Well, we bonded here. We have a payment of $575,000. Now I can't do like even some shingles. So it's hard to do, the dollars is kind of restricting. So it's like, okay, in 24 we had a fund balance of 633. We lost a little bit because we had to do some work on HVAC units and roofs and whatnot. So by doing that, our actual fund balance it dropped down. Okay, so we were there, now we're here. Still okay, we got money coming in and whatnot, but we got to hold off on some roof repair potentially, or HVAC repair or whatever, and just try to limp along and make it happen because you got to be careful. I don't want to spend that, right? Operating capital, this number right now is actually a little lower than this because we had to do some things here in the last couple weeks, but it's still above zero. It's still okay. This is a struggle for most districts because this is where you buy curriculum. Curriculum can be expensive, and we've been buying some curriculum because we need those updates. And so this one got hit pretty hard recently. And we get dollars every year in this, but again, you start looking at our next two funds, Fund 2 food service, we have an absolutely ridiculous number there. And there's multiple reasons. We cut staff there, and we're functioning more efficiently. Shannon's wrote many grants this farm school, and so it's not coming out of our back pocket, it's coming out of the grant. We sold some equipment. We've done quite a bit of things she has to really streamline. Now, this isn't going to keep climbing like this. We've kind of tapped out. Most food services need about 20 grand to 30 grand a year from their unassigned fund balance. Now, Universal Meals has changed that game a little bit. We also, the other thing I forgot to say is we do summer feeding, and our summer feeding has been very good too. So what we're asking is, if I don't spend this down, the state's gonna come and say, you have too much in that fund, come on, we need some of that back. And so it was meeting with the senators and Representative Jim Joy said, so we have a person that's doing a great job, and we have this money. I'd like to shift it to LTFM because I got some roofs or HVACs that we gotta work on here in our timeline that we have in our strategic plan. I have the money, but I can't use it. Why can't I use it? Why can't we do as a board then pass a resolution and say, hey, let's take 500,000 of it and shift it. We still have 125,000 in there, right? Fund 4 is healthy right now. Can we do Fund 4? Can Fund 4 help capital? Can Fund 2 help capital? Can we buy new curriculum because we have the money? And we got to make these executive decisions as a board based on our strategic plan because we know we have a roof schedule, we have an HVAC and lights and all these other things on schedules on our LTFM plan. Okay, what do we need and what do we have? And so here was my example to all of those senators and representatives was there are schools right now going out for an operating referendum that may not have to do that if they had freedom. Right? Isn't that crazy? the school districts have some money in some of these funds, but they're not allowed to use them. So they gotta go to the voter to say, hey, for operating, we gotta pass an operating referendum. And they're going, well, don't you, well, we do, but we can't use it. It just seems to be, can a local board have control of its funds? And so that's what we're asking. So we'll find out. And to me, it makes logical sense. Those meetings went very well. And can that get passed up and can it get passed? We will see. So, and I think that's what I talked about here, is just having those things happen, even with our fund balance. So I talked about 714, I could transfer funds right now and boom, we'd be out of policy. So the other thing that we talked about, and I gotta remember my slides now, oops, sorry. That might have been the end. The other thing though that happens here is, if you're 714, so you're at policy 714's percentage, no term transfers. AKA you're healthy, right? If you're not healthy, you can transfer. The other thing we talked to them about is that we would always make sure, and that's the last piece here, that no matter what fund that's restricted gets shifted from, we'll always make sure that we keep a minimum fund balance that could be set by the board, like, hey, we gotta keep a 5% in every fund, can't go lower than that. Okay, you can do that. You can say we need 3 months of expenses of the annual budget. I mean, that's again, could be something set here. We even told the senators and representatives, hey, if you state wants to set a number, hey, you gotta have 5%, or you gotta have 3%, or you gotta have 3 months. I don't care, that could be part of the legislation, right? So we don't zero one out and then next year go, well, that was done, we really need, you know. You gotta be careful, you gotta be smart with your money, right? And we wanna put those checks and balances in there, but just looking at our freedom, and what that can do for us is substantial. And there are some districts that are farther away from the 10%. They're going like 2 and 3 and 4%, and they're trying to get to 10 and 12%. You know, it's like, okay, do we wave the white flag? We can't get there. It's just too big of a lift, and so this would free those people up. Anyway.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I should probably know this, but do we pay people out of those funds if they work in that area? Like fund, you know, food service?
Yep.
Do our staff get paid out of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, so I should say this, that's a good point. Even 5% of my salary now can come out of that food service. The other thing that they did, which is crazy, it's not crazy, it's a way that they tried to address it. If you have money in the food service, so Fund 2, you can use it for tables and chairs for the cafeteria.
I feel like I remember you saying
Yeah,
that, yeah.
so I said to Senator Kupek, I said, well, we don't need them right now. Our tables and chairs are great. We just had a construction thing, blah, blah, blah. So in order to, so I don't get the state to come take money away, I'm gonna buy just a boatload of chairs and tables for the cafeteria and put them in a garage. Or wouldn't it be nice if we could actually use them in a classroom that has old desks and chairs? But if I get audited by the food service, you know, when they audit us, we get written up, we get fined for that. Because we use misallocated Fund 2 funds to use in a classroom. And you can't do that. It's just, right? So that's great that we can buy tables and chairs, but we don't need them. So I said, I'm gonna build a garage. Just kidding, but you know, build a garage so we can store a bunch of stuff in boxes until we can finally use them, and yet classrooms don't have the appropriate equipment. That just doesn't make sense to me. So they tried to throw a little bit out there like, hey, you could use it for this. You can use 5% of the superintendent's salary. Okay, those are nice things, that's awesome, but holy smokes, it doesn't cut it, right? So, yeah, great question.
The legislators meeting this year, is this year, trying to bring this forward this coming year?
Yeah.
When do they start?
January.
January.
Yep, and so legislators they have their own committees, right? And so that's where they have more power, more control, I guess. And so these people that we've met with, because they're local, we wanted to start here. We also said that if you need us to come down, testify, or do whatever, we can do that too, but please take it to the committees. And that's what they all said. They would take this information to the Finance Committee, and so do they push it forward, do they not? MSBA has this too and is looking at it. MSBA, the LOR piece that we already did push, they did put that will be on their platform, so that's good. So, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Shannon. Any other questions for Shannon? All right, very good. We'll move on to 7.1. This is to approve the regular meeting on October 20th, 2019. motion by Nicole, do I have a second? Second. Second by Micah. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. On to the consent agenda, 8.1, to approve the bills for November 2024 in the amount of
$207,243.02.
the treasurer's monthly budget report, back and sent to you. And then also to approve the resignation of Ingvi Winterscheid, paraprofessional, effective January 17th, 2005. Do I have a motion? Motion by Brittany. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any questions or discussion?
I will say, and you'll see, and I appreciate that he knows what he's gonna be doing and making a different plan. So he's given us plenty of heads up because we know we have para needs. And so we appreciate that about him,
Yeah.
and he's done a nice job, so I do wanna say that.
Very nice. And the budget report looks good.
Yeah, so we have a percent there, and you know, 1%'s about 190 to 200,000, so, yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 9, unfinished business. 9.1, this is a motion to approve the resolution canvassing returns of votes of school district general election. And we should read the resolution.
Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2164 as follows. It is hereby found, determined, and declared that the general election of the voters of the district held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, was in all respects duly and legally called and held. As specified in the abstract and return of votes cast, a total of 8,910 votes of the district were cast at said election on the election of 4 school board members for 4-year term vacancies on the board caused by expiration of term on January 1st, next following the general election. As follows: Brittany Keough, Troy Kind, Nicole Reno, Angela Olson, Matt Hogan. Candidates Brittany Keough, Troy Kind, Nicole Reno, and Angela Olson, having received the highest number of votes, are elected to a 4-year term beginning January 6th, 2025. The school district clerk is hereby authorized to certify the results of the election to the county auditor of each county in which the school district is located in whole or in
Good. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Edie. Any questions or discussion? We'll do roll call. Brittany? Nicole?
Aye.
Laura? David? Aye. Lindsay?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Micah? Resolution passes. All right. On to 9.3. This is for a resolution authorizing the issuance of certificates of election and directing school district clerk to perform other election-related duties.
Whereas the board has canvassed the election for school board members held November 5th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2164 as follows. The chair and clerk are hereby authorized to execute certificates of election on behalf of the School Board of Independent School District number 2164 to the following candidates: Brittany Keough, Troy Kind, Nicole Reno, and Angela Olson, who have received a sufficiently large number of votes to be elected to fill vacancies on the board caused by expiration of term on January 1, next following the election, based on the results of the canvass. The certificate of election shall be substantially the form attached hereto. After the time for contesting the election has passed and the candidate has filed all campaign financial reports required by Minnesota statutes, chapter 211A, the clerk of the school board is hereby directed to deliver those certificates to the person entitled thereto personally or by certified mail. The clerk is hereby directed to enclose with the certificate a form of acceptance of office and oath of office and substantially the form.
Very good. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole.
That was me, Laura.
Oh, sorry. by Laura. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Brittany?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Laura? David, aye. Lindsay?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Micah?
Aye.
Resolution passes. On to number 9.3, this is resolution to accept donations.
Whereas Minnesota Statutes 123B02 subdivision 6 provides the board may receive for the benefit of the district request donations for gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. In that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district or for the benefit of people thereof, including trusts created to provide pupils of the district with advanced education after completion of high school and the advancement of education. And whereas Minnesota Statute 46503 provides any city, county, school district, or town may accept a grant or device of real or personal property and maintain such property for the benefit of its citizens in accordance with the terms prescribed by the donor. Nothing herein shall authorize such acceptance or use for religious or sectarian purposes, and whereas every such acceptance shall be by resolution of the governing body adopted by a 2/3 majority of its members, expressing such terms in full, therefore be resolved that the school board of Dilworth, Flint, and Felton Public Schools, ISD 2164, gratefully accepts the following donations. From the DGF Touchdown Club in the amount of $450 for turf rental for the football team. From Shields in the amount of winter clothing for DGF elementary students.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Brittany, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any questions or discussion? Just a big thank you, I guess, to Shields and Touchdown Club. All right. Hearing no other discussion, we'll roll call, Brittany.
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Laura? David, aye. Lindsay?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Micah? Resolution passes. On to 9.4, this is to approve the non-certified contract for Chelsea Johnson, paraprofessional, class 2, step 1, effective November 11th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Amy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lindsay. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 9.5, this is to approve the non-certified contract for Ashley Bells, paraprofessional, class 2, step 6, effective November 21st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, do I have a second? Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9.6, this is to approve the non-certified contract for Julie Edelbold, paraprofessional, class 2, step 2, effective November 21st, 2024. Do I have a motion? Motion by Laura, do I have a second? Second by Brittany. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.1, the next board meeting is November 25th at 5 o'clock, and this is at the Media Center. 10.2, the Policies Committee meeting is November 25th, following the school board meeting at the same site, the Media Center. On to number 11, this is to approve the adjournment of the regular meeting of the DGF School Board. Do I have a motion?
So
Motion by Lindsay, do I have a second? Second by Nicole. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
You didn't really want any questions or discussions on that last one, did you?
Well, I'm not sure.